Well, let's get on with something, another angle on silver. Silver versus the weaponization of finance. Now, I know there's a lot of different angles coming on with finance, basically from, let me put it, I'm going to put it from the common sense angle because, one of the things that really flies in the face of the oil prices going down is what's actually going on in the climate. And the reason I'm presenting this picture right now here, climate change adaptation and mitigation now, it's really a politically endorsed policy to push science or fund science that has global warming. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that oil prices and commodity prices are, well, they're very strongly related when oil goes in a very hard bull run. In other words, you're not going to really see silver go to the moon, so to speak, quote unquote, unless you see oil go to the moon. Unless there's a drastic change in technology whereby, everybody's not using oil anymore and oil becomes a commodity like salt was to the Roman Empire. That's what it is today. Oil today is actually like what salt was to the Roman Empire. And, what happened eventually was that there was much cheaper ways to get around not using salt because of refrigeration. So, but right now there's actually a policy for climate change. I'm bringing this up for another reason because there's a lot of different angles on this deal that's coming up. And as we look today, before I get into that site, we look at the oil prices that are well below 50. I know they sprung up just a hair, and now they're at 48. They're down to 47 something. Now, in lieu of and actually the markets have been going back up. They've been charging back up. They were down a lot today. This actually was the second longest time where the markets did not have a 4-day losing streak in 87 years. It's kind of like a record in one way. The last time the markets did not have a 4-day losing streak was back in 1928. So maybe that's a precursor of things to come. But in today's day and age, things aren't being done on paper so much as they were back in the time in the 20s. There's actually a weaponization of finance. Have you seen what happened in recently? I know some people say it was a false flag, but I don't really think it was. With Korea hacking into Sony, it may not have just been Korea. It could have been help with Russia. From Russia, probably gave them help. I would imagine. They probably don't have the resources to do that, but I think Russia does. So it could actually be in cooperation with other people. But this is really the way that they're going to be trying to bring down the West. But we're dealing with two evil sides here that are different aspects. They're both against the common people. One's on the West and one's on the side of the East. But I also want to point out something here, like with crude oil, that I really highly think this price is being manipulated down, not only because of the Saudi production, but it's being done electronically because every time I turn around, there seems to be a lot more reports of extraordinary cool events going on, which would create a lot more demand for home heating oil and demand on the infrastructure for electricity, heating, or whatever there is out there. Because this is actually from Adapt 2030, a mini ice age 2015 to 2035, heavy snow across North African deserts. This is actually in North Africa. The major media, just to rehash, you can look. I'll point you the link on this if you want to look at this. But it's flying in the face of oil prices descending to less than half of what they were about 6 months ago. Usually winter, there's a lot. The less demand is usually in the summer. Not in the wintertime, especially when you're having extraordinary, crazy cold winters, especially in areas that don't get it, like Palermo, Sicily, southern Greece, northern Africa, and the deserts, getting heavy snow accumulations in the major media, reporting them as traces. Well, what's going on is actually this is financial warfare against Russia. Now, I'm not painting Russia as a bunch of good guys here at all. Not at all. But I'm just saying there's a lot of different things going on. Both sides are playing games. Actually, there's a lot of games going on. If you recall back, Pastor L.W. used to predict, he was predicting for how many years that oil was going $150 to $200 a barrel. And I swear this guy probably works for Shell. You know, praise the Lord, give me some PayPal money and buy my DVD. You know, and I just can't believe the number. You know, I believed him. Well, actually, he was correct back when Ken Fromm was alive, but today, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea how this guy's. Well, I don't think he's getting good information, but you know, I just had to bring that up because you know you got to have a memory like an elephant and call him out on things that are so ludicrous, and you know, in the face of what's going on today. But you know, we actually have a number of things coming up because you know they're going to try to take your money through Obamacare now. You know, from the you know the Food and Drug Administration's backing. You know, in other words, when you got Obamacare coming up, I swear they're going to be pushing, the Food and Drug Administration is going to be pushing the pharmaceuticals. And, you know, there's a lot of big money involved in that. And what I'm saying is this whole system, I think, is like a house of cards that's going to come down. And when it does come down, the only thing you really be counting on is what you got in your hand and what's physical. You know, you notice, like I said, I put out a lot of videos. Sometimes I intersperse my videos with how-to practical videos on just how to do something or whatever, because I don't like just being a talking suit where you know I'm giving you a lot of financial facts and you know I can't do anything myself. I understand that the physical world is far more important than the electronic world. It's like the electronic world thinks they have a handle on the physical world, but they don't. They don't. Not if the blue collar worker actually sticks together, because. You know, but one of the ways they're actually knocking down the common people here is with this, with the pharmaceutical drugs, because you know how much money is involved in this type of stuff. You know, even people that do nothing but put pills in a bottle, like pharmacists. You know, pretty much that's what they do. I mean, you really don't have to be. You know, you're not a doctor, you're not a nurse, you're not dealing with patients. You put pills in a bottle for the FDA, basically. You know, in a pharmacy companies, you make over $100,000 a year doing that. You make over $100,000 doing that. So, you know, where's all that money going into? If they could pay the people that put pills in a bottle that much money, can you imagine what kind of business is really going on in the FDA? I mean, not the FDA, but actually the pharmaceutical industry that basically runs the FDA. So, you know, it's a matter of, you know, things are going to come to a head one of these days because there's so many scandals coming out that, and I'm going to actually go over some of these things because the weaponization of finance is actually all electronic. It's all electronic. And it's a house of cards. You know, everything that we've actually seen over the last, you know, so many decades with the advent of far more technology has been used against us more than it's been used for the convenience of the common person. So maybe you're probably going to have to go right back to old school again. But, you know, I'm not somebody that believes in, you know, tearing down the United States or down with the USA. You know, I'm all for homeland security if you do it the old way, like what Geronimo did, right? Let's get together, band together, and keep our country strong. But, you know, what I'm saying is that when the markets come down, there's going to be some serious hysteria, opportunists out there playing a drama, and you know you can see the markets probably are starting to take the toll. I said, you know, when we looked at these oil prices, now they're 48, right? Well, that's already going to be affecting the profits of the first quarter of 2015. But the financial reporting for the end of the year 2014 is not in yet. They got to do their reviews, they got to do their audits, they got to, you know, issue these financial statements. When those financial statements come out from the energy sector, which is 25%, the energy sector and research and development on the energy sector is 25% of the S&P. Guess what? You're going to see a major downturn. You're going to see a major downturn in the markets in general. And I don't think there's anything they can do about it. But, you know, there's going to be hysteria. You know, I don't know if, you know, it's like you got all these yo-yo politicians. I mean, Hillary might not be the deal because, you know, I've been reading about she's got a lot of baggage with Bill Clinton for one, and besides her own baggage. And, you know, the deal is it looks like, you know, there's been a lot of sexual escapades with the elite in little St. Thomas Island down there in the Caribbean. And you know, all these things are going to come out, you know, with the British royalty, you know, the tycoon that already got busted Epstein and all that type of stuff. And, you're going to have the Christian right playing it up, oh, this is terrible, so give me money. I don't know what any of these stupid politicians do at all. I don't know what they do at all. None of them do damn thing. But, the silver garbage is not really, you notice it's not a get rich quick scheme. But the problem is, people, when they invest electronically, it's a dangerous situation because the whole house of cards can come down. It really could come down. Actually, I'm going to actually get back to something here because, it's not so much about, I know like Michelle Bachmann would be saying, well, it's because we sinned and, there's a lot of stuff going on. But actually, the economy is looking really bad. The markets have been going up. The economy's looking bad. You look at the retail sector, the death of the malls in the United States is getting even more acute. I know that's partly because of online shopping, but that's not the whole reason. There's a lot less discretionary spending going on, even though the price of oil has dropped, which usually leaves more money in the pockets of most Americans. But most people are freaking pretty much broke, so they really can't afford to do they're just making ends meet, so they don't have like all this extra money because the price of gasoline and home heating oil went down. And, considering what's going on throughout the world, most people throughout the world are probably dealing with extraordinary weather circumstances, which is putting a lot more burden on their pocketbook because even though the price of home heating oil might be down due to global oil prices being down, they're probably paying a hell of a lot more for heat because you saw what happened with, this is actually in North Africa, Tripoli and Libya and it's all over the place. I mean, it's freaking. I mean, it's not staying there. I mean, but they've had heavy snowfall. Talk about unusual, right? So, that flies in the face of the oil going down, which I'm telling you is oil basically is being used as a financial weapon against Russia, which I'm not sympathizing with Russia because I realize that Putin is a bad guy, and I can tell you a lot about other areas of Russia, Siberia, Sakha, and, where most of the riches of Russia are. You only got about 110 oligarchs owning 35% of the wealth in Russia. The people that actually take the oil and natural gas out of the ground, they don't get nothing. The miners, they don't get nothing. Diamond miners, they don't get nothing. So now here's another thing that's coming up. I should actually put this out on a separate video, but this might be, you'll probably hear it in some other drama video on some other YouTube channel, but there's actually something going on with the FBI that they have these towers, and they're called stingrays. Now, this is another reason where I'm talking about physical wealth is probably more secure. And, well, it depends. I don't even like putting my, saying anything about it on here. To me, it's actually dangerous to say that, I invest in silver on the internet, on the public airway. But, I'm trying to help people here in a way, too. That's what I'm really doing. But they actually have these spying towers. They're by the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. And they can actually tap into all the data that's on your phone. Now, they say they don't do that unless there's actually like a warrant or a search warrant. But they also say that the technology could be used in public places or other locations where the FBI deems there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. Which means anytime you use your cell phone outside your house, outside, these towers that look like cell phone towers, which are actually stingray towers, can be used to tap your data. So how secure is, what's on your cell phone? Do you do any kind of banking from your cell phone? Do you have any kind of private data on there that could be used by, how secure is even what the FBI taps into? How do you know, man? I mean, is everybody in the government like 100% honest that they won't do something wrong with that information, that's your own private financial information? So, that's another reason, not even from the Korea-Russia side where maybe they did an attack on Sony, but also from the domestic side. So, again, it's like we got the weaponization of finance coming from not only the foreign but also from the domestic. And actually, when you're looking at what's going on in the what do you call those? The stingray towers. They're also like if you look at the blue, They have they also have they have access. The local police have access to it. You look at the red, the state and local, so that's Florida, New York, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And if you look at the tan color, just the state police also have access to the simulators. So it's the federal has it everywhere, but also in other states, you'll have the local police have access, you'll have the state police have access, and in some states like Florida, New York, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, the state, local, and federal police have access. Here they have, the other states don't even know if they have access or not, but they know these states do. So this is a trend where you're talking about the weaponization of finance. It's almost like, anytime you go around with cash in your car, they can confiscate it because they could say, well, we think the cash is guilty of a crime, and, they could take it, right? You've seen this coming up. So, bad news all the way, man. Bad news all the way. So, it's like they could be spying on you. They could be taking your freaking electronic information. So, you always say, what's secure? Nothing's secure. Physical silver's not secure, right? You got to hide it. You got to really, you got to have it in another area. You can't even have it where you live. But the thing is, and you can't have it in a bank either. That's another situation. But the thing is, when this is going on, a lot of people aren't realizing how unsecure their financial data is electronically. And I don't want to paint the doom and gloom. Yeah, I guess I am painting a doom and gloom picture because nothing's going to happen until it happens. That's what happens. That's why you have this hedge on the physical metals. So you see the metals going up today a little bit, and actually I'm going to get into why that is because there's another reason for it. And I said there was 3 scenarios to where the metals and the markets and oil could take, and it is taking one of those 3 scenarios, and actually that's hinting at something else. But anyway, really what we got is we were running against the globalist party of America because I think Hillary's going to run anyway on the Democratic ticket because he's probably the number 1 front runner despite all the bullshit that's going on. And it's going to be Jeb Bush on the other side. So I always look at it, 2 sides of one party, the globalist party of America, 1984. Welcome to 2015, right? I mean, without just giving you reality of the situation. But the situation in the United States, actually, the wealth has actually been more skewed between poor and wealthy in the 1920s than it is now. And it was actually even worse in the 1800s. That was the age of the robber barons in the late 1800s when the big railroads were around. And, what really brought them down was the muckrakers, they call them, the yellow journalism. And, that's what we're doing on the internet today. Hopefully we can keep to do this, but I don't do it for like drama for profit. I'm trying to give you facts. And there's a lot of practical ways of fighting them. And, like I said, one of the most practical ways was cottage industry and also just doing things on your own. That's why I always intersperse my silver videos with videos on how to do things on your own. But, the thing is, you want to hang tough. You want to hang tough like these 2 ladies here, with the Marlboros or the Kent or Tarrington, whatever that was. I'd rather fight than switch. Whatever that was. Remember them cigarettes back then? I'd rather fight than switch. I forgot who the hell it was. But, you want to hang, that's how you want to be with silver. I'd rather fight than switch. Electronic silver is garbage. I got some electronic silver, but I know the real hedge is the physical because we are in the age of the weaponization of finance. Now, actually, I want to tell you, crap, I didn't want to make this video too long, but I want to give you some more other learning points here because actually, before I get into the point about the 3 scenarios and which scenario we took in route of, which way the route of silver is going. But before we get into that, I also want to talk to you about this. This thing with the solar flares and the solar sunspots and the solar activity and the dark sun and all this kind of stuff and the cold sun, actually, this can also be something that's a warning for what happened back in the 1800s. We actually had a super solar flare that happened during the last mini ice age in the late 1800s. I know this wasn't brought up on this channel, Adapt 2030, but you know how strong that thing happened? When that happened, you know how strong it was? Actually, telegraphs operators got electrically shocked by the solar flare physically. This is before. This is 1800. So the telegraph was first coming on. And it actually burnt the telegraph paper from a solar flare, not lightning. Talking about solar flares that happened in, I forgot the name of it. I put a video out on it for it. Carrington effect, whatever it was. Maybe that was what it was. But this particular type of act, and I don't want to put fear out here, but when it happens all at once. If this type of particular sun activity that's causing all these, mini ice age type things, what's going on is, it's causing, it's also the same type, it's the same type of solar activity that happened when we had the natural nature EMP incident. I think it was called the Carrington effect, that basically fried a lot of the telegraphs back in the late 1800s. If that happens today, we're going down to the freaking Stone Age overnight, man, because our whole infrastructure, actually the infrastructure in the United States, the infrastructure for electricity and utilities is rated at D. A lot of people don't realize that. It's almost like the bridges too. They're rated really bad too because they don't want to raise the road tax on the gasoline, because it's too politically. That's a politically hot potato. So nobody's going to do a damn thing. See, nobody gives a damn. That's really where I wouldn't be giving a damn about the government going into deficit spending if they're building on roadways, stronger utilities, protection against EMP, better dams, better bridges. Because, you're going in debt for something that's solid that could be freaking good for many years rather than, the garbage that they're freaking going into debt for today. In other words, it'll have a benefit for many years. A lot of people go into debt for a mortgage on a house because guess what? The house is going to be good for many years, right? Same thing the government could be doing, but they don't do this. So that's one thing where even if we don't have but if you look at what's going on with Korea, and I think it would be in concert with Russia, an EMP attack is not totally out of the question. So the weaponization of finance is definitely in the possibility. It could be from nature, because what's going on with all this crazy weather across the board or across the world that you're not hearing about, because you know what it is. It's politically incorrect to talk about global cooling. They're freaking doing everything they possibly can to say it's not true because they got to have a global carbon tax. But what I'm telling you is that that's what's going on. But during the time when they had this type of solar activity, now we don't know what possibly could have happened in the 1600s with a Carrington effect. I think that's what it's called, with the solar flares. We don't really know. We know in the 1800s because of how it affected the telegraphs. The operators got shocked. But if that happened today, and it would bring down the grid, it would bring down all your electronic banking, it would bring down the power, it would bring down everything. But it doesn't even have to be that way, because I'm thinking is the more Putin is being pushed with this stuff about oil prices and the ruble just about ready to collapse and losing about half its value inside of a year, well, I think that's going to be, he's going to do something by proxy, not maybe by him, but by proxy. You're seeing a lot of freaking jets flying over the Baltic Sea, and you're seeing a lot of jets testing the airspace of the UK, Scotland, and Alaska, and you're saying, well, he ain't playing games, man. So he's going to continue to do that. And I think if he gets an opportunity, if there is a financial collapse due to an EMP by nature or man-made, wow, I think he's gonna play his, when the opponent's weak, you strike. That's judo, baby. Well, I know judo was actually used the opponent's strength against him, but he's going to play that game. When the opponent's weak, you strike. So, the only thing you're going to count on is physical, man. That's really what I'm going to tell you right here. Now, I talked about the three scenarios. The three scenarios was that oil, the markets, and all the metals go up at once, and that would be due to basically inflation. If they go balls to the wall with QE, right? Now, the other scenario was where if there was a major conflict in the Middle East, it could bring down the markets due to uncertainty, but then gold would go way up and oil would go way up because it would put into doubt what the oil supply could deliver if there's a major conflict in the Middle East, and say oil refiners would be blown up. Now the other thing, the third scenario is if the dollar debt, the debt of the United States, we downgraded the debt in the United States. Say it wasn't just the S&P, but it was the Moody's that downgraded the debt in the United States or issued some type of warnings. Well, in that case, you would see the markets go down, and you would see crude oil go down, and you would see gold to go up. Now, that did not happen in that case, but it's also hinting that since you're seeing gold, silver, and all the precious metals going up, yet oil has been going down. You see, when you're talking about precious metals, silver's got two hats, right? Maybe it's 40-something% industrial. Platinum is about 60% industrial. Palladium is about 90% industrial. And palladium actually is also going up because of tensions in Russia, because Russia has a large percentage of the global supply. They produce 43% of the world's palladium. But the thing is, when you're seeing the precious metals go up like this, and the markets are going down and oil's going down, it's telling you, since a lot of the white metals like silver, platinum, and palladium have two hats, they're going up due to fear. A place to hide, basically, while everything else is uncertain. Because silver, platinum, and palladium are also heavy industrial metals. If the activities of the industries in the world, in the United States, are actually diminishing, and the United States is actually being deindustrialized, and actually there's major slowdowns in China, well, why would they be going up? The only other reason would be because the dual hat, the other side, the other hat they wear, it's a safety when there's uncertainty in the markets. Like, in other words, silver, platinum, and palladium also wear the same hat as gold in that way, where it's like they're a store of wealth. They're a store of wealth also, besides being industrial metals. But in the case of crude oil going down this far, that also means that there's a greatly diminished amount of activity in industry. Because I could say, it's a rigged game where they're trying to push Russia over the cliff. Like, Russia had to bail out one of their biggest banks. I forgot what it was already because of their endangered default. I forgot I read so much stuff, I forgot what it was. But the thing is, with crude oil going down this low, it flies in the face of any reports that are telling you there's a lot of industrial activity going on throughout the world, or there's bright spots or whatever, because that would create demand. Industry creates demand for crude oil. That creates the price. That causes the price to go up. But also factor in all the unusual mini ice age type weather we've been having across the world, not only in North Africa, southern Italy, southern Greece, even parts of the USA. You had in Southern California, Arizona, Las Vegas snowfall. Freaky things. Now, I know people are going to tell me about the weather is going up and down, but that's what happens when they go into a mini ice age. The weather fluctuates real hot and real warm. Then generally, it starts getting a lot more snow and colder, and it affects crop production. But, this all flies in the face of affecting crop production, home heating oil, and you name it, whereas you should normally be seeing oil having a stronger price, meaning that there's a stronger, healthy economy underlying it. So really why these metals are going up is it's the age-old thing what people have been saying. Investors that are really the real investors are realizing, or saying now that the markets are unsafe. There's no industry. The industries look like they're slowing down throughout the world. A lot of the companies are slowing down. Right now, it looks like there is going to be this is the beginning of the major trend upward in the metals. This is the beginning of the major trend upward in the metals. Now, I think this year we're going to see the major reset in the Dow and the S&P. And when that happens, I already know what's going to happen with the major fearmongers out there, because they're going to be screaming, praise the Lord, and they always interject religion in everything because they got it. That's another angle for their 501c, and it's like PayPal me this and PayPal me that. There are so many scams on the internet. I have to go off on this. I'm being too long on this, but there's so many scams on the internet that it's pissing me off, to tell you the truth. Actually, I just want to interject this here on this one video because this is going to be a long video. I'm sorry, but just want to bring up a number of different points rather than put out 50 million separate videos. But another thing that happened recently, a lot of people don't know this, but there was this YouTube video about the homeless guy, and you're talking about they gave him $100 and he supposedly went over a liquor store, and then he went in a liquor. They thought he was going to buy booze, and he actually went in there and he bought what do you call it? Food, and he gave it to the other homeless people, and I said, "Oh my God, it was like a big heartwarming story." And you're finding out that it was a staged event. This guy got, I don't know, 125 million plus. I mean, 125,000 plus donations, and the people that put the thing up got 27 million views, and you know how much money that probably made them, right? And they're going to put up other stuff on that. So just beware, because when this drama happens, there's going to be so many opportunists out there from one angle or the other. One's going to be playing the Christian angle, one's going to be playing the New World Orders are out to bite you angle. And the whole thing is just keep a cool, calm head, and not like this freaking crazy lady. And don't worry about if the malls are freaking not, if the malls are empty, because these malls were always a bunch of freaking superfluous bullshit in the first place. Really, what you really got to worry about is don't use your cell phone outside. Watch what kind of data you have on your devices, because they could tap into any damn thing. It's probably like, if you're going to stick with physical silver, you're probably better off sticking with physical paper and keeping it in a strong box underground, because you don't want people having that kind of information, because they always are spying on you and what's going on. Now, from till things change, until maybe we have an EMP or something, there's going to be the war of basically weaponization of finance. The weaponization of finance. And, the political leaders aren't going to help you, because, even Bonner, whatever his name was, he was all invested heavily in Obamacare companies, basically companies that were going to benefit from Obamacare. Back way before when Obamacare was first coming on, Bonner, Republican leader, they're all working together, man. Globalist Party of America. So you really got to hang tough, and you got to think for yourself. So just want to put it out to you this way, and that's really why you stick with physical silver. A lot of people just want to click on a button on the internet and make a lot of money and say, "Well, what do I do?" And just that's all I got to do. Well, it's a little tougher than that, but when it goes up, what's probably going to be tougher is for you to part with it. But when you part with it, make sure you buy a useful capital asset that will do you a lot of good for many years. Of course, you have to take cash at the point of sale, but make sure you buy a useful capital asset that will do you good for many, many years. And that is the way to hang tough against all the bullshit that's going on today. So I gave you kind of a hodgepodge of updates today, because I didn't want to put out 10 different videos. I know that's what a lot of other people do, because they dramatize one little point here and there, and they get a lot of people to click on my link and blah, blah, blah. But I want to just give you a lot of different areas. So, like, in other words, we have an artificial oil market is one. They've been showing this since 2000. The market's been rigged. I know it's against Russia, but don't feel sorry for Vladimir Putin. He's a greedy bastard with $50 billion, and he's power hungry just like all the rest of them. He's another pile of crap like everybody in the West. He just plays just another type of character. And, the other thing is, with all this activity with the sun causing global cooling, it's the same type of thing that happened back in the 1800s that caused that Carrington effect, which is actually fried the telegraphs. So that happened today. Man, our whole financial system would go down even without anybody doing anything from the outside. It's a possibility. It's not a guarantee, but it's a suspicion. It's a suspicion, because that happened when we had the last mini ice age type deal with the solar activity. So solar EMP, solar flares, whatever, is a possibility. It's not that crazy. It's not that much out of the realm of possibility. And number three is, you got to watch your data, because now they got all these stingray towers out there that look like cell phones, and the FBI, the local police, and the state police in a lot of states can all use this data even without a warrant, because you're using a cell phone out in a public place. So there you go, right? There's a lot of other stuff going on, and also this BS with the healthcare is. I hope they fight back on this, but it's going to take a lot of effort. The only way I can really fight back on it is to tell you about, even in lieu of us losing, say, access to vitamins and herbs, if we have access to electronic gear and it's protected from PMP, that might be something that can help your health in the long run too. So I'm trying to think of all different angles that can protect people, and this has been a long update. Sorry about that, but just hang tough.